Cringe. It's what some fighters thrive on. They appear larger than life due to their unwavering presence, but for all the wrong reasons. In other words, their negative remarks are louder than their accomplishments. You can't fake cringe. Their exaggerated actions, fake swagger, and the audience's transition between amusement and secondhand embarrassment all demonstrate it. Conor McGregor's the name that sticks out the most when it comes to embarrassing news conferences. We're dissecting the most embarrassing, ridiculous, and plain embarrassing moments from McGregor's news conferences today. Let's get started. The Dance for Me Boy disaster. Let's start with an instance so terrible that even McGregor's fans had to take a deep breath of embarrassment. "Boy, dance for me." During their 2017 press tour, McGregor stated, looking at Mayweather across the stage. Indeed, that's what he said, and in front of a crowded arena. The awkward silence that ensued was caused by thousands of people processing what they just heard, not just astonishment. Was what McGregor just said true? The criticism was loud and swift. It was instantly criticized by many as racist, out of date, and completely unnecessary. Outrage erupted on social media. Reporters scrutinized every word, and even some of McGregor's most devoted supporters found it difficult to defend him. Conor, though, he doesn't know how to back down. He doubled down, cracking jokes, dismissing the uproar, and carrying on with his outrageous activities as if nothing had happened, rather than responding to the criticism with any sort of introspection. Was this just another instance of his irresponsible language going unchecked, or was he purposely pushing limits in order to advance? In any case, he undoubtedly generated conversation, and whether he liked it or not, increased the level of excitement surrounding the bout. Drunken press conference, UFC 264. Conor McGregor appeared messy, unruly, and probably intoxicated at the press conference prior to his eagerly awaited trilogy bout with Dustin Poirier. It was obvious that something was wrong as soon as he picked up the microphone. He shouted incomprehensible slurs, garbled his words, and made it personal by bringing up Poirier's wife in the trash talk. This time, it felt more like a man losing control of his own image than mind games. Even though McGregor always thrived on controversy. There was a disagreement among fans and pundits on whether McGregor was displaying his trademark flair or was faltering under duress. In any case, many people thought the press conference predicted his terrible defeat in the octagon, and it remains one of his most strange moments. Rather than entering Poirier's mind, McGregor's theatrics just served to highlight his desperation and advanced age. The Eddie Alvarez press conference meltdown. Consider this. Draped in an absurd Gucci mink coat, McGregor abruptly takes a chair and points it towards Eddie Alvarez as if he were going to send it into orbit during a packed UFC press conference, where cameras are flashing and reporters are asking him questions. Yes, as a furniture attack is the next logical move after words fail. Security hurried in after Dana White almost suffered a stroke, and Alvarez sat there blinking in shock, perhaps wondering if he'd entered a different universe. Warning, he hadn't. This was just another day in Conor McGregor's crazy carnival. The room became tense. While some fans applauded, others winced, and even the reporters who had previously witnessed McGregor's outrageous actions appeared perplexed. Was this planned, or had he lost control? To his credit, Alvarez didn't recoil. He simply shook his head while observing the scene. McGregor, who usually likes to play up the drama, continued to yell and make wild gestures as though he were the protagonist of his action film. Even though the situation was chaotic, it was somehow exactly what McGregor was supposed to do. The Khabib Nurmagomedov press conference disaster. The press conference for McGregor's scheduled bout against Khabib Nurmagomedov at UFC 229 was not only awful, but also unpleasant to witness. Fueled by whiskey, he was consuming it on stage, McGregor verbally attacked Khabib. However, he went crazy rather than energizing the fight. Apart from Khabib's real fighting prowess, he disparaged Khabib's accent, his family, his religion, and his nation. The icing on the cake? Like an AI system not designed to react to gibberish, Khabib sat there, expressionless. The issue? Khabib merely fights, unlike McGregor, who engages in trash talk. We all know how that went when the fight night arrived. After McGregor was destroyed, Khabib leapt the cage to complete what Conor McGregor started. Well done if you're still here. You've made it through the tornado of McGregor's most embarrassing incidents. Before we go further into the craziness of the press conference, make your presence known by liking this video. The UFC 303 press conference that never happened. McGregor's latest press conference disaster? It's one that never even occurred. Dublin supporters were giddy with anticipation as they watched McGregor hype UFC 303. The excitement was genuine. Everyone was preparing for classic McGregor antics, such as a loud trash talk session, an extravagant entrance, or maybe a new viral moment. As the venue was crowded and tickets were sold out, then nothing. Dana White called off the entire event at the last minute. No explanation, not a warning. Radio silence. Fans were left feeling bewildered, incensed, and completely let down after traveling, spending money, and waiting impatiently. What was going on? Angry supporters demanded explanations. Conspiracy theories dominated Twitter, and injury rumors circulated. But when McGregor did speak, it was with a strange, cryptic tweet that made little sense, not with clarity or assurance. Was there something he was concealing? Was this a complex public relations ploy? Or was McGregor just being himself? Unpredictability is the previous champion's greatest strength and his biggest weakness, and this was undoubtedly one of his most embarrassing moments ever. The time McGregor got roasted by his own words. What could be more embarrassing than uttering a stupid statement, facing a large crowd while having your own words used against you? One reporter chose to make fun of McGregor by giving him an accurate portrayal during a UFC 264 press conference. He copied McGregor's distinctive gait, exaggerated his Irish accent, and hilariously repeated his most overdone catchphrases. What's the best part? McGregor was unable to recover. The audience erupted in laughter, and the man who made his living on scathing trash talk simply sat there, clearly uncomfortable. His look showed that he was aware that he'd been outperformed. It was a total takedown of his persona, not simply a roast. McGregor wasn't the loudest person in the room for once, and boy, did that show. Who the fuck is that guy? UFC 205 press conference. One of the most well-known incidents in UFC press conference history occurred when Jeremy Stephens made a mistake by pointing out McGregor during the pre-fight media session for UFC 205. Who in hell is that guy? As Stephens tried to make himself a serious contender, McGregor turned to the audience and asked a mocking question. After the violent takedown, the room erupted in laughter, and even Dana White smiled. The episode went viral and swiftly became a meme, making it one of the most replayed press conference moments in MMA history. Unfortunately, this savage one-liner will always be linked to Stephens' career, overshadowing any accomplishments he may have had inside the cage. It was the perfect example of McGregor's keen sense of humor, charisma, and ability to verbally destroy opponents before ever going in the ring. Despite Stephens' best efforts, the harm had already been done. The Bottle Throwing War, UFC 202 press conference. Conor McGregor and Nate Diaz's UFC 202 press conference began normally enough, but then it descended into complete mayhem. Frustrated at McGregor, Diaz walked out of the press conference, but not before he and his team began throwing energy drink cans and water bottles at McGregor. McGregor, who never backs down, snatched whatever was in his grasp and threw bottles back at him. Dana White sat there, clearly anxious, attempting to recover control of the event while security rushed to contain the issue. Because it's possible to hit an innocent bystander, the occurrence led to lawsuits and fines. Although the UFC is renowned for its spectacular build-ups, this was more than just pre-fight hype. It was potentially illegal behavior. He was hit with a fine of $150,000. That's a lot of cash for a dodgeball game with bottled water. Antagonism between McGregor and Diaz was already well established, but this tumultuous bottle fight only fueled their storied rivalry. Even though McGregor is one of the best showmen in combat sports, not all attention is positive. He's provided us with some of the most astoundingly embarrassing moments in UFC history, ranging from chair-throwing tantrums to water bottle fights. Even if his career may be replete with memorable knockouts, what about his press conferences? A cringe compilation is where they belong. However, what are your thoughts? Did we get it just right, or did we miss something even more embarrassing? Tell us in the comments below. Check out these other videos if you like this one. We're sure you'll love them too.